I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. I'll do a roll call. Mrs. Harden? Here. Ms. Heredia looks absent. I'm here. Oh, is she? Okay. I know she had work today. She started back today. Secretary Terrazas?
Here.
And Vice President Guadiana?
Here.
Okay. Is she on yet or? No, she's not. Let me send her a text.
Is somebody on here?
See the one way over there, bottom right, that's us. So if somebody else comes on, they should get two. Right, maybe? There she is.
There you are. Can you hear us, Emery? We can hear you. We missed you today. And just so you know, Issa Bindi won. Your team won. Issa Bindi won. In case you were wondering. Okay. All right, that moves us to our board norms. Number 1, actively listen to all perspectives.
Close the loop, responding to concerns and questions as a unified board.
Model the professionalism we expect from all members of the district and community, consumer service orientation, customer service experience.
Assume positive intent.
And number 5, be positive and responsive. If we could please stand for the pledge and the New Mexico flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico to be a symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. That moves us to item number 2, approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the agenda as written.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that moves us to item 3, public input. Item A, agenda items. Does anyone have public input on agenda items? Is anyone online? Okay, then that's public input on items of concern. Nothing? Okay.
I have a question on, there was at the last meeting, there was acknowledgement of a person that wanted to come in and make concerns known about the phone policy, Mr. Rivero.
Right.
Did he do so? Not in writing?
I believe he said he'd be here in the August meeting,
Okay,
the first meeting in August.
Okay.
thank you.
All right, and then that moves us to item 4, action items. 4A is approval of the Cobre High School Student and Parent Handbook. Was there any discussion or questions?
I have a question. It starts out on page 9, and it is cell phone policy. There's not any real description of the consequences. These just enumerated first, second, third offense. But in almost all the other cases where there are offenses, there is something that's described as, a phone call to the parents, going to the principal.
So are you on page 9?
Yes, but in terms of I see what part for the phone call and going to, but is there like taking away the phone? Is there a matter that person can't use the phone for an extended period of time?
Because I think the elementary addressed it by saying they would follow their discipline matrix.
Discipline matrix, yeah. And that's, I think when it goes over to office referral, that's the same, as in, depending on where they are on the discipline matrix, it would follow those consequences.
Then the district maintenance is a different document, correct?
Say again, I'm sorry? The district,
The maintenance, there was like level 1, level 2,
The matrix?
the
yes.
matrix.
but it's a different document?
At the elementary level, it is.
And we have the matrix here on this document? I don't think so.
Or would it be at the discretion of the administrator?
That's what it says.
So on page,
says?
That's what I see on this part, on page 9, don't you think? It would be the teacher's email and to parent.
so if you look on page 11,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's, if you look over on the top left of that bottom box, inappropriate use of technology. And then there's first, second, and third, which is parent contact, lunch detention, and then admin referral.
Okay.
So I think there would be multiple steps. So I think the first one, this is the way I read it, first one, the teacher's just gonna say, Kate, can you please put your phone away? And then on the second one, the teacher may take the phone. And then, of course, we would have to call parents and email parents, letting them know that they had taken the phone from the student. And if on the third offense, then they would be sent to the office at that point. And then if you flip to page 11, I think those are the consequences that they would go through on their first, second, and third offenses.
Except for the part of taking it away, taking the phone away, that's not something that's that clear on the discipline policy.
It says right there on page 9, second offense, teacher confiscates
Page 9?
at the bottom
Okay, I was
in
looking at
red.
page 11.
on 9.
Okay.
Anything else?
Computer, internet use, that doesn't seem like that relates directly to cell phones.
I don't know where you're looking.
You said page, I'm sorry, page 9. I'm sorry, looking at page 10. No, okay, then I'll just. Oh, the other question I had on this, how is it going to be, if it occurs in one class, is that a violation within that class? And if it occurs in another class, is that kind of like made known as to this is the second offense, or is that a first offense in that other class?
I would think, being honest, I think it would be by class. So, because I don't think at this level, they're trying to handle it at the classroom level and not at the office level. So I don't think they're communicating that across the board.
Okay.
But then if it reaches the office level, of course, then it's being documented on that level, and it would be 1, 2, 3, and following on that.
Okay. Another one, on the, we talked about this in terms of, on page 16, and we talk about graduation ceremony, is it not defacing the caps?
Correct.
particularly? We're gonna,
Is everybody good striking that? Because I would like to strike that.
I would.
Yes, because last year they asked me and I said 100% yes, you're more than
Unless the-
welcome.
Unless there
decorate.
was, you know, some violations or anything.
That's what I said. As long as it's appropriate, I have no problem in the world. So if everyone's good striking that, then we'll,
And
but the way it reads though, hang on here. Shall adhere to dress code policy and shall not deface or alter.
yeah, their caps are gone.
So I think it's okay the way it reads because we don't want them cutting them up or whatever. We're saying it's okay to decorate them.
Putting something to decorate is defacing. If you were like to say, go to a national park and say, please do not deface,
True.
any alteration.
I
of
just
that.
don't want them, their ability to like cut their gown up into shreds or, you know what I mean?
And what if you you just take off their caps?
But some of
just
them
think-
wear, they did a beautiful job last year. Kudos to those kids. They did great of decorating and celebrating themselves. One of my personal favorites was the cowboy hat with his, you know, hat on top. I was like, wow, that was classy as could be, and done very nicely. So I still would like students the ability to do that, but I don't want them to take it too far, if you know what I mean on that.
So, what would you then?
Yeah, what's the proper wording we're looking for here?
Students are allowed to decorate their caps in appropriate manner.
I think that sounds good.
Or maybe they can decorate as long as it's appropriate for school, or,
Well, we're saying they're following the dress code policy. What if we said this, shall not deface or alter their gown, right? That keeps the gown intact. And then they're all wearing something over, so, which is fine. And then we can add in, not alter, I'm gonna try to write here, their gown. And then say, comma, students, may decorate their caps appropriately or,
In a non-offensive manner.
yeah, in an appropriate manner. I'll try to get the right words together, but
Okay.
I'll just say students then may, decorate, students may their cap. Upper manner. Okay.
Anybody else?
Is everybody okay with that? Thank you for bringing that up.
I have another one.
Okay?
On page 17, it has on the bottom of the first paragraph, where if a student that's in concurrent enrollment with Western withdraws within ample time, that it becomes a withdrawal rather than a fail. They get a WF on their transcript at Western. But here in Cobre, they get an F as opposed to a withdrawal. And there may be circumstances, for instance, if there's a class where they're attending physically and all of a sudden they don't have a car anymore or something else like that, and they withdraw, or for somebody gets sick in the family, they have to do different things, they withdraw and they don't have a consequence from Western. I'm wondering why we're making a consequence on our transcripts. I think it would suffice just to say they don't get credit for that.
You would be a withdrawal and no credit.
Yes.
And currently, they're getting Fs?
Yes.
Where does it say that at?
The last sentence, no, wait a minute, I'm sorry, the sentence before the last sentence.
First paragraph, the top paragraph.
Oh, okay, I was
Yeah.
way down at the bottom here. I see it now. As an F, students may also need expensive paper books. That's a great question. And that would be one that I'd actually want to run past the guidance counselor and principal to see why. And then, I'm the same as you, because you're right. I call it life. Life happens
Yeah.
sometimes, and then, students surely shouldn't be punished for that. But I don't know if there's a reason. So I don't want to speak on this one unless I check it.
Okay.
Do you want me to check that for you?
Yes, please.
And then, all right, let's see why that's an F instead of a with. Okay,
And consistent with that thought, on the second paragraph, actually on the third paragraph, first sentence, but there's no break between the paragraphs. It says, students are not allowed to drop WNMU classes once they begin the semester. Again, life happens, and that is a different campus. There are different logistics involved. And I think it should fall within the category of just not having credit for that class.
okay.
And what's interesting in that is, in that paragraph, it allows the final decision to be made by the high school principal. So
So I think in that, if,
it's allowing latitude when the first sentence doesn't allow any latitude. It says will not drop, will not allowed to drop.
but I actually like the principal having an approval process for the fact that, like life, like if it's a legitimate reason, then I have no problem in the world backing up the student. If it's just because,
Yeah, I would rephrase the first sentence, so it says, in the circumstances where a student does drop, final decision will be made of the principal as to whether that will, let's see. Oh, however, that would work out, whatever the final decision would be, the principal would allow the drop.
I think it's one of those case-by-case basis where depending on the situation or scenario, the principals, just like we are right now, if it's a legitimate reason, then I don't have
So
a
if
problem
it's-
in the world.
I wonder if they get an F though, because maybe they're taking that as their math credit.
That's why I want to check it, because
Okay.
I'm feeling there's a reason this is here. It's not just because we want to punish kids. It's about, I think there's a purpose for this. And I want to check the purpose before we go,
Any further?
monkeying with it.
Okay.
And the last one on that part.
Okay?
The last paragraph, where if you enroll in classes offered on campus, they must complete both semesters of that coursework. If they're going to Western the following year and that's offered when they graduate, I don't understand why we're making them take both classes at that point.
Because I think it's just the way the high school schedule works. So that's what I'm guessing, is for them to get the dual enrollment credit for both high school and college, they need to take both of them to receive the credit.
I don't know.
And see, the way I'm reading it is they have to take the courses that were offered at our campus, because they used to come and provide, or some of the teachers would give courses.
Right, we have dual enrollment teachers at our high school.
Right.
That provide classes that count for both Cobre High and for Western New Mexico University.
And so maybe those classes are like a welding or shop class or government and econ that need to be taken back to back. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm kind of on that same page.
Okay.
Yeah, but, and that's where, like, if they don't take it there, is it something that they could take once they enroll in Western, once they graduate from high school? I don't know.
Well, I'm sure they could. This would check it off the list saying done complete, and they're ready to move on if they go on to Western. I think it just depends on, some of this, again, is the agreement between Western New Mexico and Cobre High School.
Okay. That one I wasn't quite sure why,
I'll
that,
check on.
knowing that person could take the class later on, I don't know why it is we're having this.
Complete both semesters, right? Who knows when?
I had a question on that same page 17.
Yep.
It says there will be a charge for all office visits.
Yeah.
Does the HMS have like a standard $10, $20,
And
or does it vary
Wait,
based on the?
sliding scale. But even then, they're also, they have grants that have, provide for no charge for indigent. So if the student qualifies for the no charge, that should be applied.
I'm just, I mean, before a parent would sign it, it's like, do I want to, I know that if my child goes to, my student goes to the clinic, it's at a minimum, it's gonna be a $10 charge, minimum. Or is it a zero? I don't know.
Well, like I remember when I was in high school, they would bill my parents' insurance first because
Medicaid.
Medicaid,
Medicaid.
yeah.
I would think I would think in most cases that would cover it, but there are some cases that it would not, so that's why it makes me curious.
And they are a 501c3, C3P, I think, but that's part of their grants that they receive because of that they provide indigent care.
Sure. Yeah, I'm gonna make assumption they don't turn anyone away.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
That's the way it should be.
Yep.
And so I feel it's more on our side to make sure that it's covered, but if a student goes, the student should get whatever services they need.
If we just change it to may be a charge,
Okay?
Well,
What do you think?
we might ask them before we do that.
I'll double check it.
They might have a reason why.
But then it says here, all major insurances will be accepted.
Which the insurance company would pay whatever that fee is. And in most of these cases, of course, if you have insurance, they're gonna gladly charge it. But it's those certain students that might not, but they usually will have Medicaid.
Right.
So usually,
yeah.
but
some may
not always.
Some
So
may not.
there might be some students out there that,
Or you may have somebody that's in between,
yep,
they had insurance and whatever reason, they don't, all of a sudden today I don't have insurance. And then they have to go to the clinic, and then, oh, we can't see you unless you pay your.
but again, I go back to saying I'm pretty sure we have policy in place that there's no one that's turned away from there. The
Yeah.
students are not turned away. So I think that goes on to us as we figure that out.
And I think they do have a sliding scale.
Anything else?
So would we make that may be a charge?
I have it written in, it's changed to maybe, but I'll check it
Okay.
also.
Okay.
Something, school resource officer. Do we have one?
We do not. Where did you see that at?
Right there on page 9.
Oh,
If you're a victim of bullying, please report this to your counselor, school resource officer, and administrator or other trusted adult immediately on staff to report.
Oh, yeah. We definitely don't have an SR.
It's on page 9.
Second paragraph.
I'll have that.
That's a good catch.
That one's gonna be straight. I don't know the last time there was one of those on campus.
Think there ever had been. Okay.
Anything else? Mr. Terrazas, do you have anything?
I'm good.
And Mrs. Harding?
Good.
Ms. Heredia? Okay. Then, I'll entertain a motion for approval with those changes to occur.
How would that work on, he's gonna get back to us on whether those changes are appropriate?
So are you guys okay approving it pending the changes, and then I'll go back in and I'll get answers to each one? If you're okay with me picking appropriately? Are you guys okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
Okay, so once I get the information, I'll make a decision of saying why it's okay or not okay. I'll put it in correctly. I'll report back to you guys, but it's okay saying it's approved?
Okay.
I would.
Okay.
Then I make a motion that we adopt the manual, the Cobre High School Manual Handbook, contingent on the discussions that Mr. Corey, the superintendent, will have related to suggested changes and incorporating those changes once it's finally determined to be appropriate.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that moves us to item B, approval of the Snell Middle School Parent-Student Handbook. I'll go ahead and open it up for discussion.
I have kind of like a more of a semantics issue on page 5. It looks like we're talking about eligibility for sports, but we have academic eligibility as a heading.
But that's, I see both sides of that, because you're saying it's for sports, but academics is the part they're checking.
Yes.
Yeah, are you reaching your academic eligibility to
Yes.
be able to participate in sports? So
Yes.
I'm with you.
Academic eligibility for extracurricular.
Participation in extracurricular activities.
Yes.
Okay. Academic eligibility. Okay.
And I have on page 9, it isn't a typo or anything, but it's a question. There it's makes a reference to the Chromebook insurance. Why isn't that why isn't that part of the other manuals? Where parents would have that option? And is it required, and it sounds like in this one's put where it is required, and why wouldn't it be optional?
So I'm gonna let Caitlin jump in here, but we have a policy that's gonna go home to all students in Cobre schools. And in that policy, it's a technology policy. It has this laid out on the Chromebook insurance, and it explains it in detail, for those. And go ahead, because you gotta help me here a little bit,
Yeah.
because I remember you had a scale as well that you would.
The Chromebook insurance is not mandatory, but it is encouraged. It is a $25 charge per student with a max cap per family of $75. So basically, if you've got more than 4 kids, you're getting away with a
Oh,
freebie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the whole point is, with the new Chromebooks that we bought this summer, we have a warranty on them that will basically replace a Chromebook if it's driven over by a car for the next 4 years. So this insurance does 2 things. One, it encourages the students to be a little bit more physically responsible with their devices, knowing that their parents are outlaying money in advance. And 2, it also provides money for down the road when we're needing to replace Chromebooks and we do not have a warranty or a tech bond to fall back on.
So if this warranty was for the ones that we have now for 3 years?
It's 4 years.
4 years? Okay.
And it's for the brand new ones, plus an additional set of 100 we bought back in October. But even the older ones, we already have parts on stock to do repairs on those for at least another year, at which time they'll be replaced. And this warranty will have a completely new fleet of Chromebooks covered under this warranty. The insurance is basically there to say, okay, guys, you're not getting away with destroying a Chromebook just because it's brand new and you know it's got a warranty that's going to replace it if you destroy it. So it's basically an incentive to say, okay, your parents are outlaying money just like they do on their car insurance. So, but that doesn't mean they are going to go out and get in an accident tomorrow.
So if a student his computer is destroyed, and it's insured, and we're charging $25 for insurance that isn't really gonna address that,
The insurance is there to help the students understand money issues in general, because replacing that Chromebook without our warranty is $300.
but we're telling that person, that insurance is to replace that
Well,
computer.
and
but
it is, because I'd still have to pay shipping on the devices to send them back to get them replaced if they're destroyed. I mean, it isn't a free money coming into our coffers. It is money there so that we can continually put devices in our students' hands. Whether it be 4
So-
years down the road when the warranties run out, or
So Caitlin, we do not have new devices in all our students' hands.
No, not this
So
year.
we have new ones in certain schools, but there's still lots of schools that have the devices from
all our high
before.
school and middle school students have older devices that if something were to happen to them, we are replacing parts at our own cost. We are doing the work ourselves to fix those. And the warranty or the insurance is basically just there to cover some of the unassociated costs. Like, I've bought screens, I've bought keyboards, I've bought cases, but if the battery goes out, I've got to buy a battery. And that's going to come out of the insurance pool.
And about how many computers do you get a week that are damaged? I'm sure the number's pretty high.
It depends. Last year, at most, we were seeing about 15.
Okay,
Average, we're seeing about 7.
okay. I believe it. I mean, kids are not
Um,
careful with their devices.
Back during COVID, a bunch of IT directors got together and did a study on what the attrition rate of Chromebooks were for students. And during COVID, it was 35%. Out of all the devices that went out for our district, 35% were coming back inoperable completely.
And this could help cover, like, some lose the case, the charger, which are most common, right?
Right. There are some parts on the insurance form that say this is not covered. Chargers are one of them,
Okay,
because chargers fail. We cannot, I mean, kids are going to lose chargers, and that is one of those things that schools end up losing money on every year. I have friends in Round Rock ISD. They charge a minimal fee for Chromebook chargers, less than what they actually are paying for them,
right,
and they still lost money on chargers.
okay.
I mean, but it is optional, and it says that on the insurance form that we're sending out. This is optional, but be aware if you choose not to accept the insurance and your child breaks your Chromebook or breaks his Chromebook, it could be up to a $300 charge.
So, number one, for the purposes of the policy, this doesn't say it's optional. And number one, and the other part is that it's the only handbook that does even list it. So either to take it off like, and then leave it like all the other ones, or
So-
at least indicate that it's optional.
Yeah, let's strike it, I'll strike it, because it's all covered in detail in the technology policy.
Okay.
And
And
there
that's
are
why I think
multiple
you're not-
handouts on
yeah.
that they will, the students will receive on their first day, so.
Okay.
And I think that's why you're not seeing it in the other handbooks, because they know it's covered in the tech policy.
Okay.
Any other questions or concerns?
Page 14, on that, the health clinic again, there will be a charge, or there may be a charge, it's just a verbiage. You're gonna follow up on that? on both-
I
on
will,
both
but
of
thank you for pointing this one out, so I'll make sure I do it for both.
It's probably true also for the elementary schools.
And I'll go back and check it.
Okay.
Sterling, will you write me a note to double check the elementary handbook? I don't know if it's in there. I'm going memory on mine. I don't think we had the health clinic in our elementary ones. That's just off of memory, but
Okay.
Attendance success coach, do we have one in the district?
those duties were passed over to, our coordinator of special projects. So she's the one that steps up and will take care of those.
Okay. Because it's in there several times, the attendance portion of it. Page 18. COVID prevention practices reinforced on the buses.
Page 18, help me where you at?
It's on the second to last paragraph on the bottom.
Yep.
Is that a true statement, or?
It looks like an old statement to me.
Let's see, when necessary or
Yeah.
when applicable.
If we were ever in that situation, then it would be,
Because it
but
does
I don't.
happen, right? I mean, we have workers that have got out for COVID, and
And maybe this is something from the bus company, like they don't wanna get their bus drivers. Cause there's not a surplus of bus drivers.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking.
And we're still, we're still dealing with COVID.
Mhm.
Like, so I would think that, we'll probably deal with it forever now in some form or another.
Yeah, but we're gonna be requiring students to put on masks every time they get on a bus.
I don't know that they have to put on a mask, but maybe they have to social distance.
On a bus?
Yeah?
And we actually, the contractor actually does this in reverse, in the sense that her drivers would wear masks and not the students, for the protection of them. So I like that they decided to do it the other way around. So that's what I saw was, many of the drivers, wore masks. I still see them wearing masks sometimes.
so COVID prevention will be enforced, so how do we spell that out? Is it a mask, is it social distancing, is it?
I don't think we define that. I think we let the bus company, they're the ones that,
And again, I like their approach, because they weren't putting it on students, they put it on their drivers. So that's their approach they've taken, so they're being proactive, I think, in a positive way.
But to assume that that responsibility falls on the contractor entirely, I think would be leaving us open.
Oh, I know. Well, I think we ever get where we have to follow the protocols, but again, at this moment, there are not COVID protocols. But if we had an uptick in COVID in our area, then those protocols would be placed, and then as a district, that's what we would be following.
So we preface that sentence with, when protocols deemed necessary, COVID prevention will.
Say it again? You said it perfect. When,
When COVID protocols deemed necessary, procedures, prevention practices will be enforced.
okay.
I have one going back to page 15, and it's on makeup work, the last subject on that page. And it says that makeup work for school activity absences or excused absences, if the student is suspended for off-school suspension, that they will be allowed to make up work missed, let's see, any work missed in his or her class totaling up to 50% of the missing work for the first OSS suspension of the year. The student will not be allowed to make up work for any additional out-of-school suspension. Why are those, either one of those?
Well, I know that's not what we're doing, so I think we should strike it. Because we're in the, and I know this is the practice, is if a student wants to do their work, regardless of the scenario, it's being accepted.
I
know
would
that's
hope
been
so.
how we've been running business.
So if we could change that to school, students will be given an opportunity to make up any work missed during in-school or out-of-school suspension.
I like that, but I also think there needs to be a deadline on that. Because as a teacher, I'm not gonna accept work
So
in the last 9 weeks.
Yeah.
Like right before report cards go out, I would say,
The policy I've used is the number of days absent, you have that number of days to make up your work.
I like that.
Yeah, so if you were gone 3, you have 3 days to make up your work.
Exactly.
So that's,
I'm good with that.
okay.
Oh, and it says that there. Under makeup work is the student's
Yeah,
responsibility.
last sentence kind of addresses.
Students have the same amount of time to complete and turn in makeup work as the number of days they were absent from school.
Okay, so I just struck out the end of that. On that first sentence, makeup work's allowed for school activity absences or excused absence. If the student is suspended from school OSS, he or she will be allowed to make up any work missed, period. And then, I know down here it says, I think we should add that sentence in though here as well, that you have the same number of days. Okay.
Anything else?
As far as both the high school and the middle school, the dress codes is pretty much the same as it was last year, what wasn't enforced.
So I think that they made a couple of changes to it.
I know that, like, the holes in the pants still have to have, you have to have something, like tights or whatever, if it's above, the lower part of the thigh, I think as it's mentioned there. Also, the non-exposure of any midsection.
Right.
That's still there, and those are the two of the ones that, you know, were always problematic and seems like as enforcing.
Correct.
Okay.
No, I agree with you that, I don't feel those were enforced very well last year at our high school.
It's true in the middle school too.
I didn't see that as much there, but,
I would go pick up my daughter all the time. and,
yep,
yeah.
you probably know more than,
What about teachers? Do they have, dress code?
there is a teacher dress code, but it's pretty lax, to be honest.
It's at the discretion of the principal.
Yeah.
The previous board, I think, passed
Yeah.
something, like at the discretion of the
So,
principal.
I was sitting in one of the meetings today, when a principal was reviewing that with their staff, and she was really carefully laying out what was okay and what was not okay. And one of the big controversial things, I think, in children and, teacher world are the leggings. And this principal was making it very clear that that was not acceptable dress for an educator in her building, which I appreciated greatly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
because the teachers have to put a sample.
Some of the policies were pretty arcane, like women will wear dresses. That was a prior practice.
But I mean, I could be the devil's advocate as a kindergarten teacher and say, well, I'm down on my knees with those kids, or
I'm on the
pre,
floor.
or pre-K.
You bet.
I mean, I think there's some exceptions there.
Yep. And I think that's where principals need to work with their staff.
PE teachers
That's-
too, they're
that
not,
was the comment
they're
that
not
came
gonna be
up.
over there,
Yep.
you know. So I think it depends on,
Their position and what they're doing. I totally agree with that.
or if you're teaching a welding class over there, or, you know, wood shop. I mean, we're gonna allow for some leeway there.
Absolutely.
On page 30, student vehicles when on campus or otherwise under school control and students. Is that talking about, like, mom and dad come to the campus and
Guide, guide me in on this one. Where are you, page 30?
page 30,
Hang on here. I'm missing 30. No wonder I can't find it.
It's after 29.
Hang on. I got one. I have one more here. Let me check to see if I have a 30. There it is. Maybe still 30 out of this one.
am I reading it wrong or?
Okay.
Oh, it's that section B. Student vehicles when on campus or otherwise under school control and students' personal effects. I would just strike that first one, student vehicles.
Are we in the same?
It's on page 30, like, almost second to last paragraph, or second to last section.
Oh, I got, yeah, thank you.
And I'm wondering if this maybe is, like if something happens with a high school baseball team or something, and their vehicle's there, or, that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, 'cause eighth graders can participate in high school sports.
Right.
At some point.
Did you find it? Or you don't even have it on Mr. Corey?
No, I have the right page. You said it was D or B?
D.
B as in boy.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, I would assume that's a policy that's at the high school, and so that's why it's in this book. Students don't have vehicles in middle school, so,
But it's in the middle school handbook.
yeah.
But there could be high school kids there.
That's what I was thinking.
There are cars there for practice, or for games for that much. Besides, I know some middle school kids that drove all the time.
They still do.
Yep, they still do that.
It's up to you guys. I think it's fine either way. We could leave it in or we could strike it.
I'm good with leaving it there.
So am I.
I don't think it's hurting anything.
No, it's not. I would just, of course, that's a student vehicle or something.
But on that page, I have a question as to, it seems like it's not very clear as to whether somebody from administration is going to conduct a search should have a witness there on their behalf as well. It says in different places it does call for a witness, but it's not pretty uniform, and I think it should be.
Well, it's our well, I say policy, but it's my rule that you don't ever search a kid without another
Witness.
adult present, period. That's a universal have to.
If we could add that then to this section.
So the sentence, I think, the one above A, that last one, conduct of
it's-
searches.
At least that one says persons.
Authorized persons, right, plural.
Yep, let's see. An authorized it should be in the bullet right above that. When a search is permissible unless local school board policy provides otherwise, an authorized person may conduct a search when he or she has a reasonable suspicion that a crime or other breach of disciplinary rules are occurring. See, that doesn't include, with a witness.
But then it does address witnesses lower, further down. When students are not present for locker searches, another authorized persons shall serve as a witness whenever possible.
Yeah, but that should be in every case. There should never be somebody doing a search without having somebody there as
Yeah.
a witness.
I don't know. I mean, you never know what goes down in the school. I mean, it could be,
If you do a search without a witness, it's not a search. It can be led up to say, hey, that was a plant.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just, as a teacher, there's certain instances like where like the building administrator has not been at our school and it's after school. I'm just saying, you
I
can't always account.
Yeah, I understand, but it's still.
You
even-
want to try to make every
Yeah.
effort to do that, but I think,
It could be a custodian for that matter.
Any adult.
Yep.
Would it cover it if, in that same area we're looking here where it says authorized person, if we, persons, pluralized it, meaning, or do we need to spell it?
No, we should say that there needs to be a witness, because authorized persons could be, okay, well, I'm an authorized person, and that would suffice to that.
You as a teacher, have you ever, looked?
no, but I've no colleagues that have said they don't feel comfortable
Sure.
serving as a witness.
I just know many in my instance, even I would grab my secretary and just say, walk with me.
And that's the most like
Yeah.
logical one.
I was like, walk with me, and I'm gonna, like, I was checking backpacks.
But there's been cases like at my school, like where bare bones, lots of substitutes, you
Right,
know.
right. But even then, you should grab your neighbor or grab somebody.
Grab
Right.
somebody.
Yeah.
I'm gonna revert just slightly back to the high school one. So on the middle school, where they sign it, student, it's parent and guardians, and
Uh-huh.
on the high school, it's just guardian. Could we reflect it, a parent signature or a guardian signature, name and guardian? Page 21.
On the high school one.
On the high school, it's just guardian, and then on the middle school, parents or guardian's name, parent or guardian's signature.
I think that's good. to have it. Cause a lot of our,
So what, the Cobre one, it says guardian's name, guardian signature, right? And then I'm looking,
Middle school, page 37.
There's also this one.
the one I'm looking at says guardian.
This is the middle school. It doesn't have a page.
And it says home telephone number. What many home telephone numbers do you have?
Man,
Most
my
current?
books are different.
This one is the technology loan agreement on Snow.
Oh, I got it.
It
What is
starts
this,
after
guardian?
the pages. There's a blank page and then,
Parent/guardian, you can,
yeah, starts after the.
on the
blank
high
page.
school one?
yeah,
Yeah, we
that's
can.
fine.
Anything else?
And then, same on middle school over here, printed, parent/guardian.
That's for the technology one?
Yeah.
There's several signatures. One's for the handbook and one's for the technology.
Oh, I was on technology. Oh, and it does it on that one. Parent guardian, okay. So the one I just changed was the tech one, and on the middle school, it has it correctly, and I changed it on the high school.
Anything else? Are we gonna do the same thing that we did with the high school handbook? Make the,
I don't think we have any that he has to look at. Certainly the one with, allowing the makeup work.
I have the same one, though, on the health clinic, the sentence of may or there will be a charge.
Okay,
So I do have that one in there, and then I think the other ones we do have, I have them
okay.
correctly.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we, accept the document provided for, the middle school handbook, as, and the changes as described,
Okay,
by board.
is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that moves us to item C, approval of the athletic activity policy handbook. Go ahead and open it up for discussion.
Yeah, that's not right.
What was that, Mrs. Hart?
The date of board approval, on the front page.
Yeah.
Oh,
which one?
okay.
Well, had we approved it then? Then that's 22nd.
Yeah, we were hoping, but
I have a minor thing on page 5, H. We've been, we put a citation for a website, but we don't provide the website.
So I asked that question, and once it's approved, then it'll be uploaded.
Okay, is that the case?
Is that-
Well, it should be.
Is that correct?
say that I missed you when you turned the other way.
Once the handbook is formally approved, then it would be uploaded to the website?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because it has the two dots, so it looks like there would be a website there.
Yeah,
I see. So we'll specify our Cobre School website.
page 14, voluntary coaching positions must be licensed through New Mexico PED. New hires will be actively working towards being licensed. Should there be a timeline?
That one actually caused us some problems last year where coaches were working on it and never completed it. And so, we kind of got in a little bit of a bind there because I said their services, they rendered their services, so I wasn't gonna hold their check, because we talked about that for a second. And I said they've already rendered services to the district, so we need to pay them. So it's kind of it's a sticky one. Because a lot of times we'll hire a coach kind of last minute where they're working on those things, and most coaches do follow through and do it correctly. But we did have an incident this last year of one coach that did not follow through and complete their process.
So is that noted, so PD won't come back on us?
It's noted that we made it a requirement that they didn't, and this person no longer works for our district anymore.
I had questions on the evaluation of coaches. Are those like kept yearly? Is that being done?
I can't say for sure, I've never seen the files, but I would assume they have files where they have evaluations just like we have all of the teacher evaluations.
I'd like to make sure that's getting
Yeah.
done.
Where's that at?
It says that in
15?
15:6.6, evaluation of
6.6.
coaches.
Okay.
And who does the evaluation?
It would be the athletic director.
It says the evaluation of the head coach is the responsibility of the athletic director. Evaluation of assistant coaches is the responsibility of the head coach.
Current assistant coaches in that particular sport must reapply for assistant coaching position. It's not a given.
We haven't been doing that. We're down so many coaches that we're sure happy that they want to continue.
So I would strike that one.
Hang on, I'm sorry, I'm writing on the last one here. Check to make sure.
Don't know if you want to strike that one or conform with it.
I think it covers for A, when a new head coach is assigned.
When a new head coach is assigned.
The new coach will have the
to
opportunity.
Select assistant coaches, current assistant coaches. So it is, it's only if there's a new head coach in place.
And then the other one on page 17 caught my attention. D and E are very similar. Why do you put on it twice? First offense, second offense, third offense.
Oh, I think it's because it says discipline athletics and then discipline for activities. So it's activities like,
Sorry.
uh, okay,
The chess club,
right,
the,
National Honor Society.
yeah, those chess club guys are pretty shady over there.
I don't know if they follow after their sponsor or what. I wonder.
They're in sports. They're gonna they don't show up. They're in sports.
Okay, that's okay. And then, I just, on page 18, anti-vape ringing course. Should be vaping. Just a typo. And the red where it says example.
Oh, it's a typo.
That's the vampires.
Vampire. The vampire course, anti-vampire. Page 31. I know it's, for the males, Ms. Corey,
Yes,
used to be a certain mileage, like, for example, I have to be 50 plus before you the policy says, we will provide a meal for all away games. And I know when my daughter was playing, when we went to Deming, because it was less than 50 miles, the school did not play for me.
So that was a change that, they might not have put it in or they did here, we will provide a meal at all away games. And that was literally my example. If we went and played a whatever game in Deming, we would still want to feed our students after that game. So I asked for that to be taken out. And then the $12 per meal up there in red, it was, I don't even know, $7 and something. I go, you can't even take anyone and eat for those numbers. And so, I sat down with Mr. Ryan and, did the $12. We raised it by, I don't even know what it was, $4 or $5 per meal. Because I said, tell me a place you can go eat lunch for under 15 bucks anymore. It's hard.
12 is too low, I think.
Well, I was gonna say, that was a huge increase over what it was before.
Yeah, but
Because I said that too. My number was 15. That was my number, but, we had an argument for a little while about it. And he pulled menus and he can pull it off with 12 for lunch. So,
even Blake's, which if you do a full meal, it's like 13 bucks.
and I asked how many times we've had overages, where a team will go and then, when I was coaching many years ago, if we went over our number, then it would come out of our activity account. And he said minimally there was overages last year. Only like if they were, at the state tournament and something happened, there was sometimes overages because they took them to a really nice restaurant. So the coach knew that they were going above and beyond. But all normal travel last year, there wasn't overages. So that's why he sat there and we played back and forth for quite some time, and he felt 12 was a very comfortable number. I said, okay.
Yeah,
He said, let's try it and we'll go from there.
When I was coaching in 07 to 10, there was a stipulation on breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Mhm.
And then, so we stayed at a venue that gave us a breakfast.
Breakfast,
So we were
yep.
allowed to
Take
use-
that money and,
use it for
Yep.
a good dinner.
and I think that's probably what coaches are doing now, is they're being wise about their the meals and how they're picking.
And the credit card is still the way we're doing it versus the purchase order?
They're paying with their credit card, but there's a purchase order usually in place. So it's much easier for a coach to use the credit card, but usually they'll tell them, okay, we're going to Blake's or we're going to wherever, and I think they usually will put purchase orders together ahead of time. But that was a significant change over our previous one, and I want to see how this year goes, and we'll see if we want to keep raising that number. But we raised it significantly over last one. I think it was around in that $7 to $8 range, which I just shook my head and said, you can't feed a kid for that.
I remember raising it up at some point, and maybe they knocked it back down, or they never raised it up, but the board had approved it to be at least $11 to my recollection. And even then, that was still too little. But nevertheless, we're at where we're at. I have a concern on page 7. It has limits on participation, and then on number 1, it has the following Snell Middle School athletic limitation, and then it doesn't have a high school limitation.
Doesn't it address it in that last section?
Let's see.
Yeah, or no, E, Cobre has
that last sentence is saying that they're following the NMAA rules.
State Oxford
Yeah.
requirements.
And that would limit the number of personnel, not the number of team members, or both.
I think it's just talking about the fees.
Yeah, this is how many,
No, actually, this is under school personnel.
I don't think it should be under. school
yeah, I was gonna
personnel.
say, I think it's labeled incorrectly.
I think so too.
Well, it says, like, for instance, at the end of every part, it says no more than 2 managers allowed. Football, no more than 3 managers allowed.
But
So,
Those are all
student managers.
students.
student managers?
And then I think it addresses, I was on another page further down and it says how many
Yeah.
coaches are allowed per sport.
Correct.
And along those lines, we had talked about restricting coaches, any staff person from being a coach on more than 2 teams per year. And also restricting that person, coaches as to whether they can participate as coaches if there's a deficiency in the performance of their classes.
I think you had said it was like professional growth plan. If they're on a
Yeah.
professional growth
Yeah.
plan, they're not allowed to coach.
So what you're discussing's in our CBA that we're still negotiating, that hasn't been finalized.
Can we make a reference that the CBA would be applicable once it's completed?
Yes.
I'd be happy with that.
But I don't think it would go here and where we're at right now.
Then it could be argued that they're following the policy.
And
with
what
the
I'm
handbook.
saying is that I need to find the right place to put it. I'm not disagreeing with you going in, but I don't think it's under the limits of participation because this is all students. I need to find the coaching
Okay,
piece.
where's that?
What if we did it under section V? Responsibility of coaches, sponsors to students.
What page are you on?
The end of 12 and then it goes into 13.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of, it could be number 1, be in good standing as a classroom teacher, or,
We're not under any corrective.
corrective professional growth plan or disciplinary action.
Yep.
Can we put it in this handbook before it's approved through,
It's a good question. Through the CBA.
right?
Any of the CBA
I
would
think
have
it
to
needs
go
to go
first.
the other way around, because I think we need to get it approved through the CBA, and then we can reference it then, but I think we're doing it backwards.
But if we put it here as number 1, say, agreements made in the
I don't think,
bargaining agreement, say, subject, or put it at the end, subject to any other agreements reflected in the collective bargaining, any provisions accepted in the collective bargaining agreement.
or pending, I don't know,
I
because
still-
we're
I still think
still
we're
in
going-
negotiations.
yeah,
and we need to be in good faith with them too.
Yeah.
That's
Now-
true, so.
Now, I
if we don't-
think once we have an approved CBA, then I think we can surely come back and say that this needs to be updated that would reflect that, and I would love that policy spelled out very clearly and then just placed right in here. For coaches, their coaching handbook.
I'm good with that, waiting until we get that
Because I don't know if they're gonna come back with what's okay and not okay.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we approve this for the year, whether there can be any changes made without, from that contract, saying we approved it already for the year, you can't change it unless we put in a caveat saying, subject to any interpretations that are put forth in the bargaining agreement.
Well, then if we do that, we probably need to do that on every single handbook and put one of those caveat sentences in there. Because there's things that would change. We're asking for some of those things to change in the new agreement,
Okay.
which would include how many meetings and professional development time and PLCs. There's some changes that would be across the board.
That are referenced in these manuals, in these,
I would assume.
because I haven't seen,
So these are student ones then. So it would be in the athletic one. But the ones that we need the teacher handbook, and I don't think we have one to create it. So this is the only place,
Don't we have a staff handbook? We don't?
Cobre Schools does not have one. What's on the list?
So things are addressed in policy, or we're hoping they're addressed in policy?
Correct.
Okay.
But I think there should be one for a teacher handbook, and a coach's handbook, where each of, like, we would keep it separate. Student policies is what you're looking at here, and there would be a handbook for coaches and a handbook for teacher. Staff handbook.
we can cross that hurdle when we get to it again.
But I think we need the other one approved.
Okay. That's all I have.
Anything else?
Who would work on the teachers?
I would probably start Norma, coordinator of human resources. I would be athletic director.
And, I don't know, you just go out and steal with pride, somebody probably has one already.
That's where I would start.
To suit our needs, right?
Sure, that's where I would start. Make sure, we'll check in when we're doing things like that to make sure that they're on the same policies that we are. So our policies will reference correctly. And then we use that as a kickoff and then come back through and then mirror together. It was surprising to me that we've never had one.
And if you did, how outdated would it be?
It would be like our paper application for employment from 1980. Very happy that that is no longer the case.
Any other questions or concerns? Anyone?
Emery, do you have anything?
You've been quiet.
I'm still at work, I just wanna go home.
She's honest.
Okay. And I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
I make a motion that we accept the athletic handbook as prescribed in changes that we've discussed.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
I saw that jump.
Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Do I have a second? We are adjourned